Southwestern Family of Companies welcomes you to the Action Catalyst. Each week, our diversely and amazingly accomplished guests share their insights and inspirations to help us ignite our own. So let's invest attention together to breathe, to reflect and refocus, and decisively defeat that voice we call Mr. Mediocrity. Then let's enjoy moving forward to make a positive difference in our world. Privileged to be your host, this is Dan Moore. Welcome to the Action Catalyst. This is Dan Moore. Today, Dustin will be interviewing former Southwestern Consulting Coaching Client, Nolan Pattee, featured in Redefining Possible. Nolan is the Regional Director of Bankers Life and Casualty Company. Hope you enjoy.
Hello, welcome to the Action Catalyst podcast. And today we have such an amazing guest. I'm excited to have my good friend, longtime coaching client. Actually, I think he has the record of the coaching client that I coached for the longest amount of time. His name is Nolan Pattee, and he is the Regional Director of Bankers Life Insurance. Welcome to the Action Catalyst, Nolan.
Thanks for having me, Dustin.
Yeah, so excited to have you. It's fun. We started off our relationship in 2011 as a coaching client relationship, but today I would say you're one of my good friends, and you're now in the book Redefining Possible that's coming out this year, and I've just enjoyed going from a coaching relationship to a friendship. And thanks for being on today.
Yeah, no problem. Anything for you, buddy.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into it. We have listeners from every different shape and size, and some people are new in their career, and some people have been in their careers for 30 years. And it's always hearing journeys of redefining possible and how somebody went from either their beginnings to super successful or redefined what they thought was possible. And I know with you, back in 2011, you started off coming to Nashville, and then actually, I don't want to tell the story for you. Could you tell us the story of your journey moving to Nashville from Iowa, right?
Yes. So I started as an insurance agent for Bankers Life in January of 2005, and got into a leadership position where I was recruiting and training other insurance agents, and within a few years had the number one team in the company, and just really moved up the ranks. And at the end of 2009 had the opportunity to really take my own branch and find a market that my wife and I just really decided, hey, if we're going to move somewhere, right? If we wanted to uproot our family and go somewhere new, what are some markets, what are some areas that we'd want to raise a family and really have a competitive insurance agency and financial planning platform to help people. And I wanted Colorado and my wife wanted Nashville. So obviously we moved to Nashville. So we actually moved here in January of 2010, and Bankers had been here a long time, but it was a very struggling market, struggling culture, struggling office. And, we started from scratch really, and really got introduced to you about a year into the business. And, fast forward to today, at one time we were down to, when I first moved here, around 10 agents. I think when I started working with you, we had about 20 agents. And, in 2020, right now we're approaching 90 insurance agents and 15 financial advisors and growing. And, not only have we doubled, I guess we've quadrupled our production and our numbers. And
wow. Where would that rank? So if you were number 104 when you got into Southwestern Coaching, where would you be approximately this year? What are you tracking to be ranking wise?
We're tracking to be in the top 10 in the whole company. So
wow.
Just tremendous growth, and really, partnering with you and partnering with Southwestern Consulting has been a huge part of it. It's a lot of things that we've implemented over the years that have really, just driven our personal and professional and certainly financial growth followed all of those things. So it's been great.
That's awesome, Nolan. Well, tell us a little bit about some of those moments where you redefined possible. I know that you are in the book on impact is the chapter where you're featured. And before we talk about impact, tell us a little bit about where you had big moments where you had to pivot and redefine what's possible and how that led to the impact that you're making now.
I think the biggest one that always comes up is, and I get the years confused, but I believe it was 2015. It's been 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe it was 2014. We were growing. We had cracked the top 20 in the whole company, and was actually in Bermuda with my wife. We'd wanted this company trip, an amazing place, and literally overnight, I had about half my agency walk out the door. One of my strategic partners left, recruited a bunch of people away, and it was devastating. I mean, it was devastating personally. It was devastating professionally, and that was kind of the rock bottom point, that of anything. And I guess the biggest thing is partnering with you and working through it, and finding ways to take that devastating moment and turn it into an opportunity to really revamp our organization and our vision and how we go about things with relationships and teamwork. And we doubled up from there. So I think that's the biggest impact point of certainly partnering with you. And certainly, it's one of those proud moments where you look back now, and we took that opportunity. We grew from it. I mean, we just grew professionally, or we grew our numbers, we grew personally. And that was probably the game changer of impact that we had in our organization.
That is very inspiring. What would you say from an impact standpoint, now that you fast forward, your team's tracking to the top 10, what have been some of the biggest impact moments recently for you?
Probably, it's hard to just pick one, but one thing that really has driven us lately is expanding leadership. Kind of an interesting thing. I look back, and one thing I'm really proud of, it's hard to see people leave, but we actually promoted up recently 3 branch managers to run branches of their own. And when they're your top guys and your top partner from a senior leadership standpoint, you think, oh my God, what are we going to do? And it's just devastating to lose them. I think publicly, you're like, oh, I'm so proud of them and I'm so excited. And, you walk out the doors at night and you're driving home and you think, oh, how am I going to replace somebody that's so, so key to our business? And every time we've done it, we've grown. There's just this vacuum of opportunity. And I guess that's the most inspiring thing, right? We had that huge growth, and we had the vacuum when people are leaving and when people are staying with the organization and growing and taking a branch and, building the legacy of their own. That's just been absolutely huge. And the last thing I'll just say is, just even through this pandemic that we're going through, last year was our best year ever. It was a record year. And we've got a good shot at having our best year ever in this current economic and healthcare crisis and everything that's going on. There's so many crises, but we've been able to keep people engaged and, working remotely and working via Zoom like we're doing right now, and finding different ways to win. That's happening now, but I think we'll look back, and that's probably the biggest impact of finding success during these times.
Wow, man, that's amazing. Last year being a record-breaking year, and then this year you could beat that. So you rattled off a few, switching to Zoom. What do you think takes the mindset to grow this year? As a leader, if a listener is sitting there going, man, that would be amazing to have a growth year this year. What's been the mindset for you to say, we're going to grow despite these circumstances?
I think just talking about that, how do we take an obstacle and turn it into an opportunity? I think you just can't become stagnant. You can't be devastated by, whether it's COVID, or find a way to win. It doesn't matter the circumstance. It doesn't matter the cards that you're dealt. How can we win in this environment? How can we win and it's a daily thing that happens. There's always a roadblock that comes up. And I think most people start spinning their wheels, or, even worse yet, they don't spin them at all, right? It's analysis paralysis, and they just think the sky's falling. And you gotta catch yourself quickly when you're in that environment and say, okay, what can we do now? And make it a team approach, get people involved, and you got to go on the offense.
That is great. I love it. Well, shifting gears, I know you're from Iowa, and you're a Dan Gable fan. He went to your college, I believe, Iowa State. And I went to the Dan Gable 2-week intensive training camp in college, and love hearing wrestling stories. And your sons are big wrestlers. So
yes.
Tell us what that was like growing up in Iowa, and how Dan Gable played a role in your life, and now probably your boys' lives too.
Yeah, well, the interesting part was I actually grew up a basketball kid. My brother was a wrestler, my cousins were wrestlers, but it's a wrestling-rich community. And my father-in-law, actually, he got a letter to walk on from Dan Gable.
What?
Yeah, so a lot of the wrestling influences come from, the kids love the grandpa and listen to them more than their father. So he really got them started. And huge wrestling nut, huge Iowa. My brother-in-law, he's a season ticket holder there. And I went to college there when Cael Sanderson, the greatest wrestler ever, he went to Iowa State, undefeated all 4 years. So he was the same age as me and went to Iowa State at the same time as well. So, being in Tennessee, our kids have really, just really honed in on wrestling and been very competitive with it. So, there's so many different things that you can draw from wrestling that, the old saying, once you wrestle, everything else is easy. And just that determination, that grit. And it's been fun to watch them. Been fun to watch my kids compete and, do it at a pretty high level too.
That's awesome. What's the highest? Didn't they win some tournaments, and have they been ranked? I feel like you shared with me some of that recently.
Yeah, I don't know about rankings, but how all that stuff goes. But my oldest son's been a couple-time county champion here in Williamson County in Tennessee, and my youngest boy got second in state a couple years ago, and they all three qualified for state this year. But unfortunately, the whole COVID thing. And we have nightly championship matches that usually end in blood and tears and sweat and all that good stuff in our house. So it's a pretty competitive household.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so great. Well, I know that you are a family man. Your kids are a priority. Your wife's a priority. And if you were just thinking through all the things that are important in life and thinking of impact for our listeners, and they're reading Redefining Possible and setting goals and thinking about their vision for their life, how do you integrate your kids with their sports? And I know you're a really dedicated, amazing husband, and your wife, Brandy, is just an amazing friend and spouse, and you guys love each other. And tell us about how that all interconnects.
I think as I kind of digest all this, I'm looking at your dream board behind you. And, I used to think, oh, that's kind of corny stuff. And, that's not something that I want to do. And you really challenged me years ago to do that. And it started my first year. My kids were like, oh, what's dad cutting out pictures and doing that? And it's amazing how, you can really make it a reality. And I think, again, having that visual there and talking about it, whatever your goals are in life, you got to crystallize them. You got to look at them daily. You got to share them. And most people, they're just internal, because if you don't share them, it's just easy to, there's no humility if you don't hit them, and there's no challenge to really pull you up. So now me and my kids do it. And it's a fun event. We look forward to it every year. And, whether it's wrestling for the boys or school for the girls or whatever they're into, for us, it was a new home. We've kind of got our dream home here. Will be a year ago here in a few weeks that we've wanted to move out in the country, and we actually found a slice of country in the middle of the city. So we got an acreage now, growing up on farms. We just we're in that subdivision life the last 10 years. So during COVID, it's been amazing. So we got a place to ride dirt bikes and four-wheelers and run around. But that's something that's been just, like I said, on a vision board. It's something that we talk about. Coming back from vacation, we were in Florida last week on family vacation, and we started talking about next year and what do we want to do and where do we want to go. So we've got this whole Montana, Wyoming. We watch Yellowstone. My wife and I are huge Yellowstone fans. So we went there on our 10-year anniversary several years ago. So we're already starting to plan it. We're already starting to crystallize it. We're already starting to talk about it. And, I think that's important. I think it's important to have, goal setting there. If this just came out because we're talking about wrestling, as crazy as this sounds, I don't know if I ever shared this with you. My son this year for wrestling, he had a kid in his weight class. He'd never beat him. I mean, this kid just destroyed him all the time. And he's probably wrestled this kid for 6-7 years. And lo and behold, in the county championship, he's up against this kid. And, just kind of passively, I just threw out some ridiculous goal. And he actually goes to Iowa. He goes to Iowa wrestling camp every summer that Terry Brands puts on and Tom Brands puts on. And he actually farms every summer from in-laws. We ship him off to Iowa, and he works on the family farm. And I said, hey, if you're a county champion, I'll buy you a tractor. And there's this, like a real tractor. And lo and behold, he goes and he's kind of down 5-2s in the second period and reverses this kid, and he pins the county champ. He pins this kid he's never really beat before. Not really beat, he's never beat him before. And I paid my debt. I bought him this tractor.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I came in one day, there was this big farm auction, down the road from our family farm, and I bought it online, and everyone's like, yeah, you are crazy. Why would you do that? I just, one, you got to pay your bets, and two, he did something that, hey, talk about redefining possible. He did something they never thought he could do, and I think you got to reward yourself. That's the power of things. I mean, if people will go that extra mile, there's got to be something in it for them. What's that reward for that good behavior, whether it's grades in school or, business performance or, anything in your relationship. You got to have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, and you do such a good job with having fun and applying that to yourself as well. And I know you and the family plan trips, and so you'll hit a milestone and then do a big family trip. And you've always done a great job with that.
Yeah, they got to know why dad's gone. What's the purpose? Why are you working those late hours? And, pre-COVID, I was traveling quite a bit, so I've been around more than ever. They were wanting me to get out of the house at this point. But, and I think people just need to communicate that, what's the why? Why are you doing this? And hopefully sometimes you catch yourself as you're not doing the right things, you always want it to be a reward. You want to know that you're making an impact. And sometimes if you're just sharing what you're doing, it just helps with accountability and all those things I've found, especially with family. Totally.
Well, to wrap us up, this has been just so fun thinking through all the different things around your life journey and your business journey for the listeners. And if you could give them one piece of advice around how to redefine possible for themselves, and if you could take all your lessons that you've personally learned and say, here's the biggest one, that if you want to redefine possible and ultimately have impact with what you do, here's what I would recommend. What would that piece of advice be?
I think the biggest thing that I would find is find people, and whether that's through a professional coach or someone that inspires you, and you've done that for me, that believe more in yourself than you believe in yourself, right? You got to find people that believe more in you and what you're capable of than what you do in yourself. And I think that's the magic. If you want a great marriage, man, find someone that's in a great relationship and see what they do. You want someone that's great in business or personal finance or athletics or losing weight, no matter what it is. And more importantly, not of just someone that you want to do, but again, I think that key thing is what you've been great for me is, just challenge me. I can do better. And when you have that belief factor and of someone that you respect, someone that you like, someone that you want to be like, and they reinforce that you're capable of it, that to me is absolutely everything. And that's been a game changer working with you.
Oh, that's great. Well, I appreciate you saying that as well, Nolan. And you're one of my favorite clients. You're so coachable, hungry, humble, hardworking, and it's no surprise why you're now shooting this year to be in the top 10 Banker's Life and making an impact through everything that you do and the people that you work with. So for the people that are wanting to be engaged with Redefining Possible, we have redefiningpossible.com where you can pre-order the book and get engaged with the content, very similar to what you heard Nolan and I talking about today. And if impact is something you're interested in, that's where you can get more information. www.redefiningpossible.com. Nolan, thank you so much for being on Action Catalyst, and thank you for being part of the book, Redefining Possible.
You're welcome. Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. To stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst and Twitter at Catalyst_Action. Thanks for listening. This episode is sponsored by Southwestern Coaching. Southwestern Coaching has helped over 12,000 people increase their incomes by over 25% on average. As a successful salesperson, you know the importance of increasing your sales, but sometimes you might just need a little extra push and accountability to meet your goals and grow your business. Southwestern Coaching will help you increase your income through one-on-one sales and leadership coaching tailored specifically to your needs. Together, we will elevate sales. To schedule your free one-on-one business action planning session with a Southwestern coach, go to www.southwesternconsulting.com/action catalyst.